Okay, sit yourself onto your lift and come into a good cross-legged position. Just have a little wriggle about. Just make sure that you feel even at the seat bones. Hold on to your knees and lift up into the chest, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. Just look down at the floor, look at something that isn't moving. Soften your jaw and your tongue and your throat. Draw the lower teeth away from the upper teeth. Soften your tongue. And observe that as you soften your tongue, you also soften around the eyes and around the forehead. Soften your throat. Fill in the lungs from the bottom to the top and emptying your lungs from the top to the bottom. Bring your hands into Namaste, press the palms firmly together. Lengthen from your armpits into your elbows, the elbows into the heels of your hands. And then with an exhalation, allow your eyes to gently close. Fill your lungs from the bottom to the top, allowing the chest to expand with the in-breath, and allow the chest to relax with the out-breath. Drawing in the positive energy of the universe into the lungs, into the blood. Gently draw your chin down to meet your chest, just partly stretching out your neck, drawing the shoulders down away from your ears, bring the chin to the chest. Just spend a moment to seek to generate a genuine, heartfelt sense of gratitude for something or someone or somewhere. Hold on to that feeling of abundance in the heart area as you release the backs of your hands down towards your knees. Palms facing upwards, connecting the tip of the index finger with the tip of the thumb. Just a gesture of wisdom and peacefulness that we can carry into our practice as an intention. And then raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open and the focus to softly come back. Just hold onto your knees. Consciously elevate the heart area to the ceiling, drawing your shoulders down so you're lifting here, drawing the shoulders down as far away from your ears as you can. And then with an exhalation, draw the chin down to meet the chest, just feeling that stretch to the back of the neck, lifting the chest up to meet the chin, drawing the shoulders down so you stretch out the back of the neck. Take a deep inhalation, breathing into both lungs evenly, and with the following exhalation, rise the chin up to the ceiling. Just feeling that stretch at the front of the neck. And then bring the chin back down to meet the chest. Lengthening the shoulders away from the ears. And then drive the chin with an out breath up to the ceiling. Just feeling the front of the neck stretching out. And then bring the chin level with the floor. Excuse me. Take a deep inhalation and then bring right ear over to the right side. Lengthening down towards the shoulder, but keeping the shoulders down. Keeping the left side of the neck really stretching. So draw your chin to the floor slightly, and then draw your chin to the ceiling slightly, just like a little minute mini movement. Just find the spot that stretches out the left side of the neck for you. Take a deep inhalation, and then come back over to the center and bring the left ear down towards the left shoulder, stretching out the right side of the neck. Again, just a little mini movement of the chin to the floor, chin to the ceiling, just a few degrees in movement. Just finding the stretch. Take a deep inhalation and then come back to the center and then over to the side, over to the right side. Just stretching out that left side of the neck. Keep lifting up into the heart area, don't allow the chest to slump. Take a deep inhalation, and with the exhalation just over to the left one more time. And then a deep inhalation, and then come back to the center. Just hold onto your knees, lift up into your chest, draw your shoulders down. Take a deep inhalation, lifting the heart area, and with the exhalation turn to the right side, drawing your abdomen across and your ribs and your shoulders, but keeping your neck still, just looking forwards. Just feel where there is resistance. Feel where there is none. So often when we feel a distinct resistance that edges towards discomfort, we tend to draw all of our attention into that region and we neglect everywhere else. So acknowledge that the discomfort or the strong sensation is there and draw your attention into areas of the body that present little or no resistance. It's like when you teach a class of kids, when there's one that's playing up, you give them some attention, but then draw your attention back to everyone else. Otherwise, everyone else gets neglected. And the one that plays up gets bored because they're not getting all of the attention, and they quieten up, or they get worse. Come back to the centre, hold onto the knees, lift up into the chest, elevate the heart area upwards, take a deep inhalation. And then turn to the right side, the left side. Again, just observing if the resistance feels the same on this side or different. It typically feels different on both sides, but just observe that for yourself. So there are parts of the body that need to wake. There are parts of the body that are already conscious. So just use the breath, use the turn to activate them. And then come back to the centre. Come off your lift and then come down onto your knees. Just sit back on your heels. Just observe the feeling of the legs sinking into the floor. Just listen to the legs as they mould into the floor. So I did quite a lot of walking yesterday. I can really feel this stretches out my legs in a positive way. So lift up into the chest and then come forwards into Adho Virasana. Keeping the heart area lifted. Spread the fingers, spread the palms, keep the seat bones down in contact with the heels if you can. Turn the tailbone in. Stretch the middle of the back out into the side ribs. Lengthen from the hips into the armpits. Push the hands firmly into the floor, almost like you want to slide them away from each other. Make sure your arms are straight. Just listen to the breath. Keep your right hand where it is, lift your head, and then thread your left arm underneath the right armpit, bringing that left shoulder down onto the floor. Bringing your head down onto the floor. But really activate that left arm. Your seat bones might have lifted, but keep that right arm really firmly activated like you're still doing Adho Virasana. Push the left arm so that you feel like you straighten it. Push the arm firmly into the floor. So push the forearm and the upper arm into the floor, and then try and roll your chest down towards the floor. So this is called threading the needle. Just opening up those shoulder blade regions. Listen to the breath. And then bring the hands Release the arms, just come back into Adho Mukha Virasana, just stretching out. Observing if it feels any different. And then keep the left hand where it is. Thread the right hand underneath, the right arm underneath the left armpit. Bring the shoulder down if you can. Bring your head down if you can. And then reactivate both arms, pushing that right arm firmly into the floor from the forearm, from the upper arm, and then rolling the chest down to the floor. So you're opening up in that shoulder blade region. But you've got to really activate that right arm in order to activate the shape. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. And then stretch again forwards in Adho Mukha Virasana, just stretching the arms forwards. Push the hands firmly into the floor so that you sit back firmly down onto your heels. Bring the head down. So feel that you've woken up the shoulder blade region. Come up onto your knees, turn, have your hands as wide apart as the mat, have your little fingers on the edge of the mat. Have the thumbs stretching towards each other, have your feet as wide apart as the mat, and then come up into dog down. Adho Mukha Svanasana, just feel how the body opens up. Press the fronts of the thighs through to the backs of the thighs, the fronts of the knees through to the backs of the knees, the fronts of the shins through to the backs of the shins. Lift the seat bones up towards the ceiling. Breathe even deep inhalations and exhalations, listening to the breath. Keep the breath deep and regular, filling the lungs from the bottom to the top, emptying them from the top to the bottom. Breathing into both lungs evenly. And then step your feet forwards, come up into a standing position. Get a couple of blocks for your hands, and then have your feet as wide apart as your mat, lining the edge of the feet with the edge of the mat. And then have your hands on your hips, lift up into the chest, really broaden the front chest, presenting the heart area to the skies. Keep the legs firm and activated. Keep the head lifted as you hinge at the hips. And then reach down and find the blocks. Find the fingertips on the blocks. Press the fronts of the thighs through to the backs of the thighs. Lift the seat bones, project chin and the chest forwards. Listen to the breath. Just bring the blocks down a little if there's no strain. If you've got a bad back, just stay on the higher lift. Just observing and acknowledging the feeling of the pose as you come down, bringing your hands down to the floor, or just stay at the lift that feels safe and comfortable. Just acknowledge the action of the legs. Are the legs working with evenness, or are they out of sync with each other? Project the chin and the chest away from the legs. The more you activate the legs, the more you can extend into the spine. And then bring your hands into your hips, bend your knees on the way up if you need to, and then come up into standing position. Just be in Tadasana. Have the inner edge of the feet together, and then lift up into the chest. Elevate the heart area upwards. Draw the palms all the way out, so that you rotate the upper arms in the sockets. Squeeze the shoulder blades together and draw the trapezius muscle, the muscle that comes from the neck, stretching out into the armpits and then down into the middle to the lower back. Draw that trapezius muscle, that slab of muscle, down the back. So the action of drawing that muscle down the back helps you to lift the front chest. So the more you lift the front chest, the more you can activate that downward action of the trapezius. Keep the trapezius drawing down, interlock the fingers, turn the palms all the way out, squeeze the outer elbows in, and then keeping that trapezius muscle drawing downwards. Bring your arms over your head, baddangulasana. So the more you lift the chest, the more you can draw the trapezius downwards, and vice versa. Lift up into the arms, into the palms, into the fingers. Just swap the interlock of the fingers right into the webbing of the hands, turn the palms all the way out, squeeze the outer elbows in, and then raise your arms over your head. And then release. Just release your shoulders, release your neck. Breathe even and deep inhalations and exhalations. Spreading the fingers, spreading the palms. Lengthen your arms forwards, really spread into the fingertips. Turn the palms all the way out, and then lengthen your arms behind you. Bring the tips of your fingers together, and then walk your hands up your back so that you bring the fingertips up towards the shoulders. At this stage, your palms are probably far apart, so consciously lengthen from your shoulders into the elbows, and then squeeze the elbows into the heels of the hands so that the palms come together. Lift up into the chest, lift the heart area, draw the trapezius muscle down consciously. Lift the hands up. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. And then release the hands and then stretch the palms down to the floor. Resisting the temptation to shake your fingers, just spread the palms. Feel the energy in the hands. Take a deep inhalation, stretch your arms forwards, bring your arms behind your back again, and this time see if you can walk the fingers up a little bit higher, up towards the neck, and then wing the elbows back, lengthen from the shoulders into the elbows into the heels of the hands. And then step your feet hip width apart. So step your feet hip width apart and then hinge at the hips, keep the head lifted. Keep the back straight as you come forwards, hinging at the hips. You might only want to go halfway. So come halfway so that the top of the body is parallel to the floor, and then extend into the spine. If you can go down lower, keep the upper body lifted. Keep the upper body lifted. Keep the hands as close together as you can behind your back. And come down, but keeping the head lifted, keeping the spine extending away. Turning the fronts of the thighs inwards. And then bend your knees if you need to on the way up. Come back, up. And then release your hands. Spread into the fingers. Feel the energy in the shoulders. Just listen to the breath. Feel the energy in the arms and the upper arms and the forearms and the palms. Just listen to the breath. Turn the palms to face the front and then all the way out to the sides of the room. Just lift up into the chest. Find your balance. Find your balance in Tadasana. So the more you lift the chest, the more you draw the trapezius muscle down, the more the shoulders draw away from the ears. The more fine-tuned the balance becomes. Just feel your pose from the feet. Turn the shins inwards, turn the inner knees towards the back of the room, turn the fronts of the thighs inwards. Tuck the tailbone in without disturbing the legs. Draw the navel to the spine, lift up into the chest, draw the shoulder, draw the trapezius muscle down. And then gently release. Bring your arms out nice and wide in towards your chest, and then step or jump your feet apart. Turn your left toes in, your right leg and foot all the way out, and then come down into trikonasana. Turning the chest up to face the ceiling, looking up. Just feel the muscles awaken. Reach up to the top hand. If you feel all of the pose in the front leg, then really work to activate the back leg. Bring your breath into areas of resistance. Come back up to the centre, swap the feet around, turn the right toes in, the left leg and foot all the way out, straightening the leg, lifting up into the chest, and then come over, find the shin. Just breathe even deep inhalations. Find the lightness in the pose by applying the breath to areas of strong sensation. Come back to the centre, bring the feet parallel, and then step or jump your feet back together, come back into Tadasana. Just breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. Just come down onto your knees, bring the hands flat into the floor, spread your fingers, spread your palms, turn your toes under, and then come back up into dog down. Just breathe deep inhalations and exhalations, finding your internal balance. And then just come down onto your knees, just sit back on your heels and just acknowledge your energy, just breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. Okay, so we're going to do a restorative pose. So you need a bolster. If you haven't got a bolster, you can just use some cushions. So you're going to put the bolster in the armpit chest here. So if you haven't got a bolster, you can just use a blanket. You can fold your blanket over it so it's kind of big, chunky blanket like that, and then that goes into the side ribs. You'll need a block for your head, and you might also need, if you've got stiff shoulders, you might need a block for your hands as well. So what we're going to do is just come down onto your side. We're not going to stay too long, maybe a little shorter than a typical restorative pose, but you lengthen out the side ribs, and then you bring the shoulder down onto the floor, and then this elbow is in a little right angle. The legs just stay bent and relaxed, and then you can either just stay like this, or you bring your arm up and over the ear, and then just let that arm just rest over the ear. If that's uncomfortable for your shoulder, or if there's resistance, then have a block for your hands and just have the hand on the block. And then maybe as you stay, you can just bring that block down a little, and then maybe you can just release the hand down onto the floor. So the bolster is in the armpit chest, and then just allow your body to just rest into the floor. So a restorative pose requires zero physical exertion. It's the opposite. You need to relax. Relaxation doesn't necessarily come immediately, but just give yourself the opportunity to gently release. Breathe into areas of discomfort. Push your out breath into areas of discomfort. Just allowing the body to rest into the floor. So rather than filling the limbs with extension, we allow the limbs to completely yield to gravity. Just let the body release into the pose. Let the body release into the bolster. release the top arm, just rest the top arm on the hip. Push your bottom elbow into the floor and then just bring yourself up into a cross-leg position. Just feel the energy around the body. It might not feel very even at the moment because we need to do both sides. But it should feel distinctly different. Just come onto the other hip. Keep the knees bent. Again, just lengthen out. Just have the armpit chest on the bolster. Have the shoulder down on the floor. The arm on the floor in a little right angle. And then just reach the top arm over. Just resting over the ear. Using blocks. Using a block for your head. Using a block for your hands if you need it. Or just let that arm rest down into the floor. So again, if there's any discomfort, just adjust until you can minimize it to zero as much as you can. So use a block underneath the hand if you need it. So a good restorative pose should feel completely relaxed. You don't bear discomfort. You adjust the pose until you minimize and eradicate the discomfort. Because you can't relax if the body is in discomfort. You can't really energize the body if the body can't relax. And then when you're ready, just bring that top arm back onto the hip. Push the elbow in the floor, just push that into the floor so that you come up into a seated position. Just observe the energy that you have released, that more even energy. So the energy that we find from a restorative pose is pretty profound. So we can do one final restorative pose. The restorative surfboard, which again is really good for opening up the shoulders. So have something for underneath your shins if you've got it. So you've got your bolster, and then your body has to be hanging off the edge of your head needs to be clear of the end of the bolster, and then you might want to put a blanket on top of the block for your head, just to raise it up a little, and then rest your arms along the floor, just stretching slightly from the armpits into the elbows, and then just allowing the body to relax. So just using the bolster to broaden the back, and then breathing in through the nose, and then breathing initially into the area between the two shoulder blades and out into the armpits, so expanding out into the armpits, and then a normal exhalation. And then the next inhalation comes into the middle of the back, expanding out into the rib cage, into the lower ribs, and then a normal exhalation. And then the final inhalation moves down to the bottom of the back and out into the hips. And another normal exhalation. So just working around those three areas in between the shoulder blades into the armpits, normal exhalation into the middle of the back and out into the side rib, into the lower side ribs. And then a normal exhalation, and then down into the middle, into the bottom of the back and into the hips. So just circulate around those three breaths. Okay, when you're ready to disturb yourself, just bring the hands underneath your shoulders, push your hands into the floor, push yourself up into a seated position, just sit back on your heels for a moment, just acknowledge Acknowledging the energy that you have released through your practice, through the extension poses and through the restorative poses. Just come onto your bolster or onto a lift, sit yourself in cross legs for a moment. Just lift up into the chest, elevating the heart area upwards. Bring your hands into Namaste, and then draw your breath in through your nose down into the abdomen. Be conscious of the energy that you have released through your practice this morning, that good, positive, healthy flow of clean energy that the extensions and the forward bends and the twists bring to the body and to the mind. Bring your chin down to meet your chest. Lift your chest up to meet your chin. Just spend a moment to acknowledge the positive energy you have created inside, around the heart area. And then send some of that positive energy out into the world. And then release the backs of your hands down towards your knees, palms facing upwards. And then raise your head and allow your eyes to softly open. And the focus to softly come back. Thank you very much. Thank you. So hopefully you feel as though you've really opened up your shoulders and given yourself lots of good, positive energy to put into your day. So thank you very much for joining me.